So a couple of weeks ago I released a video which was my second one tip for every party member and was initially going to give Reyn the tip that he can do the max possible damage in the game. However, after looking into how damage works in Xenoblade Chronicles DE, I realised it actually deserved its whole video, and hence here we are. Before we jump into it though, I just want to give thanks to the people in the Xenoblade Discord, which will be linked in the description below. They assisted me with some of the calculations and provided me with some of the formulas that you'll see in this video. So if you use Discord and enjoy talking about Xenoblade, go join it down below. So on screen now you should be able to see the damage formula. Now don't worry, I'm going to break it all down, but do keep in mind there's going to be a lot of maths in this video, so I hope you're ready. It's quite a long formula with lots of different bits, but let's start breaking it down anyway. We'll start with the first part, which is weapon attack plus stat, which within itself has its own formula to calculate, which you'll see on screen now. Weapon attack is the damage that a particular weapon or a piece of equipment will deal. All weapons in Xenoblade have a minimum and maximum possible damage output. So if we take Reyn with his atomic driver as an example, he has a minimum attack of 750 and a maximum attack of 820. Pretty simple stuff so far. That is then multiplied by 1 plus weapon attack power up. Weapon attack power up is reserved for two things basically, which is attack plus gems and Reyn's own skill, battle character. These numbers are then multiplied together and are done one after another, with attack plus being done first. Before we do this calculation however, let me explain what the 1 plus is there for. Most damage values in Xenoblade Chronicles are done as percentages, which work in terms of decimals as 0.5, as an example for 50%. The 1 plus is there simply to act as 100%, so you wouldn't be weapon attacking times by 0.5, as that's halving it, so you're timesing by 1.5 to increase it. Now in terms of the attack plus and the battle character skill, attack plus is multiplied first, so if we take the maximum attack power of 820 times by 1.5, and that will give us 1230. Then if we take 1230 times by 1.1 for the battle character skill, we get 1353, and then this is the weapon attack which is used in the first formula. Next up is stat, which is a bit simpler than weapon attack, so stick with me. Stat is quite obviously the stats of the player character, so obviously their strength and their ether stats, which act as a base. You've then got that stat however multiplied by 1 plus stat boosts, which is any form of modifier that's applied onto these stats. This is all done first, whether it's from arts, auras, skills or anything else. Once you have this value, you then simply add the two numbers you've just got together, so your weapon attack and your stat, and that's the first part of the formula completed. The next part of the formula is art power. Super easy and simple. Basically every offensive art in the game has what's called an art power, and this is what determines of course the damage, and basically it's a simple multiplier to determine how much each individual art is going to deal. This is also the first place that you can check your workings to make sure that you're doing everything right. If I use my current Reyn that you can see in the video with a strength of 729 and then add 902, which is the weapon attack of the atomic driver multiplied by 1.1 for Reyn's skill, gives us a total value of 1631, which can be seen on Reyn's base stat skills. But if you then go into the arts menu and as an example look at sword drive, which is level 12, which has an art multiplier of 6.37, you can see that we get the damage value of 10,389 damage, which is what's shown in the art menu. So once you've made it to this point, just check your workings to make sure you've done everything right so far. I'll also mention here that any skills which provide any character with a stat boost before they enter battle will be visible on all of the screens I've just shown you. So if you utilise Melia's power of the moon skill as an example and switch it to nighttime, you'll see in his stats that his strength has already increased and that the power of his arts and the damage that they will deal has also already been increased. But of course for auras and other skills which only activate within battle, you won't be able to see them here. Okay, next part of the formula, which is additive total. This is another part which increases your damage quite drastically, and it includes all the other possible multipliers that you can get in the game, things like chain attack multipliers, critical hits, gems, etc. And then this number is then multiplied via the damage that you'd have after the art power, and from this point onwards you should start to see some really crazy numbers. The next value of the formula is level modifier. If you don't already know, the higher or lower that your level is respected to the enemy does actually determine a difference in damage, and it's done differently for both physical and ether damage. If the enemies you're fighting are at least 10 levels weaker, then your physical damage is doubled or increased by 100%. However, with ether damage, it scales with levels. If there is a 4 to 6 level difference, then your damage will either be increased or decreased by 25%, and if there is a 7 to 20 level difference, your damage is either increased or decreased by 50% instead. And the next multiplier is casual mode. This is only included in the definitive edition of the game, but when casual mode is active, it results in you doing again another double damage, or plus 100%. And this is practically the peak of your damage, of what is obtainable. And then the final part of the formula is 1 minus enemy resistance total divided by 100. Now, enemy resistance total is the resistance to either physical or ether attacks that an enemy has. As an example, if an enemy has 50% enemy resistance, which is a value of 50 in this chart, it's divided by 100, which brings it down to 0.5, and then the calc is 1 minus 0.5, which is of course 0.5. And if you don't know, when you multiply by a decimal, it's going to lower the value, because of course 1 is 100%. In the same time, if there's 0% resistance, 0 divided by 100 is 0, 1 minus 0 is still 1, so the resistance stays the same. This can, however, go into the negatives, as it is possible to lower enemies' resistances through things like Shulk's Slit Edge, Melia's Burst End, and other arts and gems. But that's the full formula, and that's how we calculate damage in the game. And now we've got the next obvious question, which is, what's the maximum possible damage within the game? I'll run through my highest damage calculation, however do keep in mind I may have made a mistake somewhere in the maximum amount of damage, and there is supposedly others who have had much higher damage values. However, I couldn't work out how to get such damage values. But I'll run through everything very quickly in terms of the numbers. If you're interested in any of the information, which I am about to include, then just check the description. So the weapon max attack is 820. 820 times by 1.5 for attack plus equals 1230. 1230 times by 1.1 for the battle character skill equals 1353. In terms of your strength, it equals 1012 as standard, and then has 1 plus 0.6 for the melee buffs, plus 2.4 for berserker, plus 0.1 for invincible hero, plus 0.15 for battle stance, plus 1.55 for peerless, plus 0.5 for revenge, plus 0.25 for solitary fighter, which equals 5.8. 1012 times by 5.8 equals your 5869.6. 5869.6 plus your 1353 equals 7222.6, and then 7222.6 times by 6.37 for the art power equals 46,008. We then have the additive modifiers, which is 1 plus 7 for the chain attack, plus 0.5 for Telethia Killer, plus 1 for Topple Plus, plus 0.7 for a crit, plus 0.5 for Awakening Strike, plus 0.25 for Ultimate Teamwork, plus 1 for Back Attack Plus, plus 0.2 for Very High Tension, and plus 3.8 for Magnum Charge, which equals 15.95. Then we take the 46,008 and multiply it by 15.95 to give us 733,827. We multiply this by 2 for the level modifier, which gives us 1,467,654. Multiply it by 2 again for casual mode, which gives us 2.935308 million. And then we're doing this on the Arel Telethia enemy, which is a 0% physical defense, which we can lower by 50% thanks to Fizz Res down gems, and by an additional 10% afterwards thanks to Burst End, which gives us 1.6. And so to top off, we times the last number by 1.6 to get a maximum total damage value of 4,696,493. And by my calculations, that's the strongest hit in the game. As I mentioned before, this might not be entirely accurate, so if you need to correct it me down in the comments down below, or give me your own calculations for a higher damage value. But I hope you've all found this video very interesting, and I hope you've learnt something as well. If you have enjoyed, please make sure to hit that red subscription button. We're so close to 200 subs, and if you click that red button and hit that bell, you'll always be notified with my content. But until next time guys, see ya.